of somebody else like Jayden Daniels to me is somebody, if I'm the Chicago Bears, I want him. I want a guy with some bigger size that can throw from the pocket, doesn't try to extend the play. Yes, he can use the legs if he needs to, but has the opportunities, has thrown to some premier wide receivers because you're going to be doing that, and is played for a program in the SEC that can challenge with some of these tougher defenses. And
I'll even say this in defense of Jayden Daniels is that his time at Arizona State was under Herm Edwards and 7 NFL coaches on that staff, ex-NFL players. He was, and they ran a very pro offense. They weren't very good, but they ran a very pro-ready offense. Jayden Daniels, I think, is the most. I'll actually retract that. Caleb Williams, I think, is the most polished of all these guys. The most upside, I think, is Jayden Daniels.
No, I disagree with you wholeheartedly that, to me, that Caleb Williams is not the most polished. Caleb Williams is the best athlete. He's the best athlete out of all these guys. The total package athlete. He's got the arm. He's got the legs. He's got the vision. He's got the ability. That's why he's the number one pick in here.
Sure.
Do I think he's the right person to be the number one pick? No. I'd rather take a step down in one of those athlete scores to get a guy that is going to win some ball games and be a good locker room guy and lead a team to a championship. And this is the end of my Caleb Williams rant here. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be that guy. I think we're going to see a little bit of like Johnny Manziel mixed with somebody else, and he's going to have
talented. I'm more talented Johnny Manziel.
But he's going to have the ego of Manziel. He's going to lose control of the locker room. And are the Chicago Bears ready to take a guy who, like, yes, he's got the tools and everything like that, but to hone him in to be an NFL quarterback? I don't know. I don't know if he's got the readiness to do that.
I mean, you can put all the pieces around, but unless the coaching staff is ready to harness him, I would agree. Yeah. So I think that the next two guys, Jayden Daniels, I think him going to an offense like Washington is actually a really good fit for him.
That's where I think if Caleb Williams went to Washington, I would really like that for him. I would like that for the Commanders, and I think it would be the best fit for Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore to go to, he's got a coaching staff that is defensive driven, obviously, from the head coaching position, but has Cliff Kingsbury, has a play style that he's ready to play for and allows him to be the hero.
And they're not slouches at the wide receiver position.
No.
I mean, having Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson there, like that's not a bad 1-2 punch there to have.
No, I mean, Sam Howell used them perfectly fine this past year, but I'm just saying it's not the pedigree of DJ Moore and Keenan Allen.
No, it's a different style of playmaker.
But you get Eckler out the backfield, like he's got the
Brian Robinson, like they got pieces there. And both of these teams struggle at the offensive line.
Yeah.
So, and this is where I don't think Drake May is actually going to go to Washington. Like I think if it's not,
why would they draft a second UNC quarterback anyway?
I don't know. But if it wasn't Jayden, if it was not Caleb 1, it's Jayden 2. If it's Jayden 1, it's Caleb 2.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's going to be. I think Drake May fits into that number 3. But to continue on Jayden, I mean, like, again, Heisman winner last year. I watched him play at Arizona State, obviously being a Pac-12 fan and an Arizona State fan. And what I will say about him is he really struggled when he was a true freshman. He really struggled when he was playing for Arizona State. But that team, they didn't have a lot of talent around him, offensively or defensively. And he really, what I will say in positive about him is year in and year out, he improved.
Well, he doesn't transfer to LSU because LSU wants somebody who's not good
for sure. Football, but even from his first year at LSU to this year, huge jumps for him every year.
Yeah,
and that's really awesome to see from a young quarterback. Now, if he lands in the right position, he has the talent. I do think he needs to put on some muscle. He needs to put on some size. He has the height. He has the intangibles, but he is a mobile quarterback. He ran for 1,100 yards last year. He's not going to take those hits. Not from NFL guys.
Well, he can't. And I don't think he will. I don't think, again, if you go to Chicago, say he goes to Chicago in a place where they just had Justin Fields, a guy that they tried to reel in and stop from running the ball after he runs for 1,200 yards. Or you go to Washington, which is more of a run and gun,
right,
deep passing type of offense under Cliff Kingsbury. Look what they did with Kyler Murray. They reeled him in after year one of doing that. I don't think they're going to be in a position to need to do that in either position because of the receivers that are there.
Right.
So
right, and I think if Jayden lands in Washington, which we all think is going to happen, he's in a really good position to where the offensive scheme is allowing for the ability to scramble, but not making it the number
Correct.
one option.
Well, and here's the thing about Jayden Daniels. He's got good rhythm in the pocket. He's got good decision making, which I think people like most of anything.
Oh, for sure.
And I just want to shout out real quick to Kurt Benkert as well, because he runs a podcast on YouTube. You go check it out. And so does Chase Daniel, the Chase Daniel Show. But these guys break down quarterback play throughout the season, and they each did a little special on these guys. It's a good little watch here and there. But they kind of break down one game each of them had and go through it. And the one thing that they all were saying about Daniels is his good decision making. Like he made decisions at the line. He made decisions after the snap, the right decisions when to make them. He's got good mobility, obviously, and he's an accurate passer.
Yep.
The one thing is they say he doesn't have that zip on his ball that you see from a lot of like these high arm talent guys. Doesn't mean he can't throw the deep ball. He just doesn't have the zip you're going to get from Milton or you're going to get from Caleb Williams or even Drake May, who's got that big size. But to me,
that's fine. We've
fine.
seen ton of quarterbacks come into the league that don't have the zip on the ball that have been
and we've seen ones that do have the zip on the ball, and they are horrible. In fact, the fact
Zach
that
Wilson, Drew Brees.
Well, look at Daniel Jones at the beginning of his career. The guy had too much zip on his ball for all those intermediate and short range passes. You think Evan Ingram had drop problems. He goes to Jacksonville and has a fantastic resurgence year.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault. It was the fact that the guy was getting 90-mile-an-hour balls thrown his way 10 yards away. So
I agree.
I like Jayden Daniels a lot. 6'4", 210 pounds. I mean, that's a good size that you want for your quarterback position that is going to take hits from these big edge rushers that you're seeing in your TJ Watts and your Miles Garrett's. I mean,
still thinking he's like 10 more pounds of muscle.
That's fine. He's got the height. He's got the height to build into it.
Yeah.
You know, that's a difference.
Going into an NFL training camp, you know, I expect him to, when he gets drafted, to go and hit the weight room.
If he has, he already has.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he did all his stuff that he needs to do for
sure.
So I like Jayden Daniels. I think he's talented.